Good afternoon, Mr. Baijal. It's a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Chirag Baijal is the MD of Carrier India, and he is here today to share his insights on the HVAC industry, on sustainability and innovation with respect to Carrier, especially during COVID-19, during this time. So, Mr. Baijal, firstly, a recent news indicates that Carrier is once again an independent company, having successfully completed its separation from UTC. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
So good afternoon, and thank you for having me today along with you, so that we can maybe give a little more information, not just about Carrier, but also help demystify a few of the other things which have been going around in the public domain. On Carrier specifically, yes, we completed our separation from UTC and became an independent publicly traded company in April. And a lot of people know this, but Carrier is a leading global provider of HVAC, which is heating, refrigeration, fire security, and building automation. And we serve pretty much across the globe. We create products and solutions which are for improving lives of our customers and to help protect our environment. Now, as an independent company, Carrier will have a greater focus and enhanced agility based on its own distinct operating priorities and strategies for a long-term growth and profitability. So this is going to be a mainstay of how we're going to see ourselves moving from where we used to be. So there is no change in how we serve our customers or work with our suppliers, or we will continue to work tirelessly to ensure that their needs are met and kept in front and center across all of what we do.
Okay. I think I asked you this before we went live on broadcast, but the AC industry is known to see the majority of sales during this period, during the summer, especially March to June. With the current pandemic crisis, how did the lockdown kind of impact your sales, your supply, your production? If you can shed some light on that.
Yes, sure. And it is fair to assume that the summer months do account for a larger part of our air conditioning sale in India. And this is because we have predominantly the room air conditioning as the dominating or the largest segment of our air conditioning market. Having said that, as our economy urbanizes and we have more consumption with the average age of 29 years in India, I'm sure that the speed at which we will see a lot more happening on infrastructure, on, like I said, consumption means even the restaurants on hospitality side, a lot of demand coming in from segments which are gymnasium, for example, salons, for example, and a whole lot of that consumption story is yet to unfold in India, in my opinion. So against this backdrop to your question, of global uncertainty and protecting the health, safety, and well-being of our employees being the most important, we've actually focused the first few months on that we are able to take care of our suppliers, we are able to take care of our vendors, and this is what I think took a larger part of our focus. Now, as we were working through this, we realized that Carrier India is no exception to what happened to us during the lockdown, right? And we worked very closely with the local and the state governments. We made sure that we have Carrier guidelines across the world, but more importantly, we worked with them in India to see that most of the safety protocols are put into place as quickly as we can. And we were able to start operations. The government and the local authorities also believed in Carrier, and they allowed us, because we are also, if you can now relate, we do have refrigeration business. We also have transport air conditioning business. Besides, we also provide air conditioning for the isolation wards for hospitals and a lot of other areas which are required during the COVID-19 time. And I think the government understands how important the knowledge on air conditioning is with Carrier. So they allowed us our operations in the factory sometime in April-May period. And since then, we've been operating in India. We are impacted. However, I think it's pretty much across the board, everyone, and we are working through it as we open up.
What about the misconception or just the conception that air conditioners can be um, further propelling the problem of the spread of the virus and the infection, because in closed spaces, having air conditioned air moving around, people seem to think that that would also spread the virus faster or more intensely. How have you all kind of addressed that?
So this is what I mentioned, that we hopefully with this conversation also will be able to shed some more light on this. And I will say this to begin with, that look, air conditioning as a subject is deeply embedded in science, right? It originated from science. And a lot of what happens around us on air conditioning, we must keep going back to how does it really work? And there has been a lot of anecdotal evidence being quoted or conversational stories being circulated on how air conditioning may spread this. And the science around this actually says that, and we released a white paper globally, by the way, on this, which I can share offline later on with you. We are the only company worldwide which came out with a white paper about a month and a half back, talking about this openly. So this, that look, a generation of research and experience has proven this now, that when properly
Right.
maintained and operated, HVAC can actually reduce the spread of viruses. Now, these critical building systems not only provide the thermal comfort, but according to the American Society of Heating, Refrigeration and Air Conditioning, ASHRAE in short, may also improve the resistance to infection. Now, this is huge. There is research which we have done on the cognitive effect on human health with the proper use of multiple areas within a building. And we published that. We did this in conjunction with Harvard. We did something similar with about the health impact of maintaining and living in so-called healthy building programs. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we move forward. But we believe that the ventilation portion of HVAC will play a very critical role going forward. What I mean to say by that is that what is coming, and I'll go a little technical for just a minute, the humidity levels that we have in the indoor environment, if they are maintained properly, if we are able to ventilate our buildings properly, if we are able to design and monitor how our airflow and air distribution of an HVAC system is, the research has actually now proven that it is better to have that versus not have it. It is as strong, and it is coming from some of the most credible organizations. And like I said, I'll share that white paper that we released about a month and a half back.
Okay, good to know. And of course, I'd love to see the white paper when we're done with this. Just on this subject, since we're on this COVID-19 subject, what was the import-export impact because of COVID-19? Your overseas counterparts into India or vice versa, and how have you been managing the whole labor and factory setup?
So look, there is a overall supply side first, which is of components and the finished goods that we have. And when it started off, and we know that it started much earlier in China, so of course China supply chain was hit hard in the first few months. And if I recall the timeline, by sometime in April end, we were like 80% of our workforce back in the China factory. It did take time because you can understand we have more than 1,000 suppliers in China, and we did take a little while before we realized that not just in India. So we have about, let's say, 300 suppliers in India, and we have about 1,000 in China. So there had to be some sort of a disruption that we went through while we worked with them. We pretty much came back with all our supplies by and large restored by May end. So this is because we also were carrying inventory, because we do plan ahead of time. And this is how we were able to so far manage to serve our customers and not really give them that disruption.
Okay. So Carrier has been at the forefront of solving critical challenges amidst this global uncertainty, from improving indoor air quality, which we've already spoken about, of course, protecting the food, the world's food and pharmaceutical supply, and keeping people safe and secure. So any additional comments on that?
Oh, yeah. So I'll add a few areas of what we also did very quickly. And this started in North America first. So we were, as an innovation being, at the DNA or the core of our organization worldwide. We are the first ones to launch a product which happened to have immediately impacted the COVID-19 patients and the healthcare facilities, called OptiClean. And when I talk about that product, it was designed more to make sure that the indoor air quality in the middle of the pandemic is taken care of, because the healthcare facilities obviously had a lot of viral load, so as to speak, in the air, and how that viral load does not get distributed to other patients in the healthcare facilities. So we were able to get OptiClean design, and this is all in public media, but it's a negative air machine that we were able to get to allow that no air escapes from the contaminated area. And when the negative air pressure machine is not to be used, this can also be used as an air scrubber. So we were the first ones to come up with this. Very high quality levels of filtrations used in that, a longer mid to long term usage on filters life usually, and a very safe way to go. And now we realize it's being used in so many different applications, while it initially was designed for healthcare facilities.
Sure. Actually, OptiClean was my next question, so I'm glad you touched upon that. So you also have a comprehensive environment, health, and safety program. How has this been of help during this time?
So on then, just before I come to EHS, there's one more point I thought I'll share with you on the indoor air quality. We have another organization, a company in India called Eco Energy, which is our digital data analytics company. And we are currently working with them on a remote airside management system. And when I say the remote airside management system, this essentially is going to, again, to your earlier question, address the indoor air quality, and if we can have and build capability of being able to address this remotely. We're already serving a lot of customers where we do have access to their sites as much as those sites in the US. And there are certain very large brands we work with in the US where we control their sites remotely as well in many cases. So we are trying to build on to that is my additional point to your earlier question on indoor air quality.
Sure. Can you tell us a little bit about your EHS program?
Oh, yes. This is something very core to what we do. And as you can relate with this, Priyanka, because we're into manufacturing, right? So we do our own design. We're not a company which buys only from outside. So we do our own design, we do our own manufacturing, we have our own sales and distribution setup, and we also have our own service setup. So we are pretty much a complete value chain ownership company in that sense.
Sure.
Now, we are core, this is core to us, and we really are very particular about overall environment, health, and safety as a concept in our organization. So we keep our employees, our contractors, our partners, again, front and center to everything that we do. We take very stringent measures to ensure there's a safe working environment for our employees, technicians, customers, and so on. Now, what is unknown relatively, but we are proud of, is that Carrier in India has reached 13 years, which is close to about 28 million man hours without any lost time incident, which means that no working hours were lost due to an employee injury in our factories or in our sales and distribution function for over 13 years. And we track that diligently. Now, in this COVID-19 scenario, we have also continued this journey to make sure that we are really ahead of the curve. We have released multiple protocols around technician safety. Those technicians they are not employed, they're employed by our channel partners.
Okay.
We have our technicians, there is a certain strict protocol on how they will go and serve customers. We have protocols not just in our factory, but our sales and service employees. So pretty much the entire spectrum, we are following a certain way that our customers understand what Carrier stands for, because this is something that is core to us and what we do.
Sure. Thank you for that. Okay, now just moving on a little bit personally, you're a thought leader in the field of sustainability. You're actively involved with CII, IGBC, and promoting the green building movement in India. Can you tell us, in relation to this personally as well as professionally, elaborate on your focus on innovation and sustainability?
Yes, and as one starts reading more about Carrier on the public domain, this is another subject where Carrier takes it very personally, because we realize that we work with refrigerants, we work with energy, the electricity, or whether it's thermal or it's any other one. So we take it upon ourselves that what we choose to do, we have to keep kind of making our own benchmark better. Now, whether it's reducing greenhouse gas impact or leading the phase out of ozone depleting refrigerants, introducing many of the world's most energy efficient building solutions, we've incorporated sustainability into all that we've done or all that we do. So in 2019, up to 2019, just to give you some more numbers, in the India factory, we've been able to achieve the success in all of these parameters, like reducing the hazardous waste by 38%, the water consumption is down by 25%, and greenhouse gases down by 13%. Now, this is how closely we track all of this. Carrier has also been the founding member of India Green Building Council since 2001, and and what is, like I said, you would like to know this, but Carrier is the only company in the world to be a founding member of Green Building Councils on 4 continents. So
Okay.
our factory is an IGBC gold rated factory. And yes, I am associated with the IGBC initiative as an executive board member. So I try and work with them, promoting the concept of the green built environment. And when I say green built, it's largely to do with, can we urbanize more sustainably?
Okay. Um, of course, we know that the HVAC sector in India is highly competitive in terms of energy efficiency, reputation, quality, technical know-how. What has kept Carrier ahead of its competitors?
So we continue to try and catch up or be ahead in many ways of how our customers are evolving. Because unless it is a focused approach on our customers, it becomes difficult otherwise to be competitive. And competitiveness is not just about pricing, it's not just about cost. There is a lot more that I have spoken in other forums as well. It's about knowledge. And I said this earlier that this industry has a lot to do with knowledge. How are we able to bring respect with our customers by serving them so that they can serve their customers? And we are look more B2B organization. So what we do eventually helps our customers serve their consumers.
Sure.
So we have to be really ahead of them to be able to understand their business patterns, their business problems, and can we as a company also help solve some of those problems, if not all, right?
Sure.
So we've come out with value-added products and services in line with our customers' requirements. When customers had issues on lead time and cost of imported products, we started localizing. And we've been in India for more than 33 years. So we've been able to successfully transition our organization in 33 years and continue to add value, not just to our shareholders, but our customers. Otherwise, it would have been not a growth story for us the way it's been so far. And when customers want agility, we reorganized our entire business in India. And they used to come back and ask us if we could give them more single point of contacts, whether these are national account customers, zonal account customers, even dealer partners or strategic accounts that we serve. So I'm sure you're aware that we have a large dealer network. So we work with sales and service leaders, and that's a big advantage. And I say advantage because we're the first company in India which introduced the concept of exclusive dealers. And we are still amongst the only few which has the elite club, what we call a Willis Carrier Club of Dealers. They are the top in terms of their infrastructure, their knowledge on designing and installing and servicing the HVAC systems. And they are pretty much top of the league, respected by corporates and MSMEs alike.
Okay. Your sector, of course, like we mentioned before, you are B2B, you do have a B2C component as well. Any specific areas or sectors that Carrier is going to be focusing on post-COVID? Well, we don't really know when, but as at least, from a focused business strategy point of view.
Yeah, interesting, because this has been also a subject of debate internally, as you would imagine, within Carrier and also our offices outside India. This is going to be, while it's going to be dynamic, but I can take my shot at this by sharing that in the shorter term, you will see that, of course, the residential business being a smaller one, but there is going to be a pent-up demand, which we already saw coming back as we started the unlock one. Uh, on the commercial side, for sure, uh, look at healthcare. Healthcare, both private and government, and particularly government, they would be spending and expanding on that. I don't see that at any point in time the infrastructure in India would take a backseat because eventually infrastructure is required for anything and everything that we do. So I do believe infrastructure will continue to work and grow. One could also look at data centers. So if you have a lot more data, a lot more companies not having their own servers going onto cloud. So I would expect a lot more of data centers coming up. At the same time, the way that our the Indian diaspora is, the way that we are as a diverse nation, and you can relate with this, that we have tier A, B, C, D, 4 or 5 tiers of towns the way that we have. Not everybody's going to get onto e-commerce. So we will still have merchandise retail, you see, which will come back sooner than later. And I can already see some green shoots of that coming back. And I earlier alluded to this, that the average age of 29, how much can you hold back consumption? Because you have the appetite of youngsters with the aspiration of being able to consume more product and services. So they will consume that.
Sure. Sure. Considering that India is one of the top 5 emerging markets for carrier globally, any other plans going forward in terms of growth priorities, growing your base, product extensions, or geography coverage?
Clearly, yes. And the way we look at our climate, we are in a tropical climate, right? And while you said something about the summer where it gets really warm in a few months, but throughout the year, I think our country does need conditioning. Now, in some parts, which is very few, about 20-25% needs the heating, but larger part needs cooling. So you would clearly appreciate this, that for us to be able to look at mega trends. So the mega trends of urbanization, which I spoke about earlier, that's not going to change. The climate we have in the country is not going to change. The demographics of the economy in terms of our population, that's not going to change. Now, having said this, we have the overall penetration in India is very low, and 5% to 6% overall, and about 10% at best in the urban areas. So for developing India-centric products, because there's a lot of work that we are doing with the government as well, and trying to come up with more standards and labeling, because you see, if one has to become an economy which attracts foreign direct investments, there's a lot that I see people outside India valuing when there are standards and labeling and regulations in place. So we're trying to work, we have more regulations in place, which kind of build a level playing field for everyone, and not just for. So developing the local context product and service lines for India to make sure that we are able to serve our customers, like I said, in all the tiers of the cities that we have, all the way up to the tier D and tier E, and making sure that we make our presence spread out across. We're doing a lot of investments in digital as well, and I think those are the areas which I think will pick up for sure in times to come. A fundamental shift is expected in the way customers and consumers both will choose to respond in future in the way they buy and in the way they consume the product or a service. That's the opinion that I have.
Can you expand a little bit on the digital innovations you all are kind of investing in?
So this is slightly broad when you ask for digital innovations, because they can be from product, the way our products are able to be IoT enabled, for example, and the ability for our product to be connected, let's say, anywhere in the world, for us to either do data analytics or even to be able to do what we call prognostics. So we are moving in that direction where we can work through and hopefully build clear flags if a product were to go down unless attended to. So we are moving in a direction where we are really trying to work our way on that on digital. But even in our processes, even in the way we sell, transact, whether it's a sales or a service transaction with our customers, we are actually trying to invest money there as well. We are trying to make sure that our productivity overall becomes better, our customers are able to experience better, our dealer partners are able to, and look at the safety aspect during these times. That also, in a way, calls for these kind of investments.
Sure. Just my final question. India's HVAC market is predicted to reach $5.9 billion by 2024. Do you see the pandemic disrupting this growth? And if you do, how long do you think it's going to take for the economy and specifically the HVAC sector to pick up again?
This is a bend in the road, and the bend in the road also is a little dynamic, right? So as we are navigating it, which I started in the earlier part of our conversation, in many ways, 2020 could be a reset year. So we will reset our base, and we may be able to reach that kind of a market by 2024 or 2025. So it could be like 12 months to 9 months here or there. The reality is the market will come back for many reasons I stated earlier. And if, as an organization, one remains focused that we will have a need of good quality, knowledge-based HVAC solutions, then I think we really are on that path where we can serve our customers, create value for them, in the process create value for our employees in their careers, and our shareholders with the value that we bring back to our shareholders.
Okay, thank you so much for that. It was very insightful. I'm actually looking forward to the white paper, which I'm definitely going to get from you after this conversation is over. And thank you for being with us today. Thank you for shedding light on the sector. It was extremely informative. Definitely take care, stay safe, and we hope to speak soon again.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the time. And you keep well as well. Look forward to connecting with you later.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.